They say you never remember the moment you die. That your brain doesn't process it. That everything just stops. But that's not how it happened for me. My name was, or maybe still is, Elliot Marsh. I was 32 years old. A journalist. Single. Lived alone in a third-floor apartment above a bookstore that smelled like old ink and mystery. On a Thursday night that felt just like any other, I came home, tossed my bag onto the couch, microwaved leftover noodles, and sat down to binge the third season of a show I already knew how it ended. Then the screen flickered. My lights dimmed. And everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in my apartment anymore. I stood in the middle of my living room, but it wasn't now. It was then. As in, I was standing there, but so was my body. Sitting on the couch. Head slumped. Eyes wide open. Noodles cold. Dead that I didn't scream. Couldn't. My throat wouldn't work. I walked toward my body, heart hammering. I waved a hand in front of my own face. No reaction. I was, watching myself. Watching the end. My phone buzzed on the table. The caller ID said, private number. Then it stopped. Then buzzed again. Same number. Then I blinked, and I was somewhere else. The morgue was colder than I expected. I stood over my own covered corpse. A medical examiner with tired eyes and a mustard stain on her coat read my file like I was just another statistic. Unexplained trauma. No sign of forced entry. No evidence of poisoning. No fingerprints. Time of death approximately 8:42 p.m. Cause, undetermined. I wanted to scream, to shout, to tell her. But I couldn't make a sound. That's when I realized, I wasn't in control. I wasn't here in the physical sense. I was, tethered. Watching pieces of my life, and death, play out. Then came the funeral. Mom cried. Dad sat stone-faced. My younger sister, Mallory, clutched at tissue like it was the only thing anchoring her to the earth. My best friend Jeremy didn't speak. Didn't look anyone in the eye. Just stood near the back, hands in his pockets, trembling that I didn't see them again for a while. Days passed, or maybe weeks. Time was foggy here. I drifted between memories and moments. Some real. Some twisted. I saw flashes of things I didn't remember doing, shouting at someone in a parking lot, handing an envelope to a stranger in a hoodie, running down a dark alley while glancing over my shoulder. Then, the vision stopped that I found myself in my old apartment again. Only now, things were different. The police had been through. Everything was tagged and bagged. A detective stood near the window, flipping through a notepad. His name tag read, Detective M. Rios. He muttered to his partner, no signs of struggle. Guy had no enemies. What the hell happened to Elliot Marsh? Good question, detective. That I followed them as they left. I didn't know how, but I could. I could drift. Like wind. No walls stopped me. No locks barred me. I floated beside them down the stairs and into the street. Their words faded as I moved ahead, searching for something I couldn't name. Something pulling me that I ended up back in the newsroom where I worked. My desk was still cluttered. Coffee-stained notes. A half-eaten protein bar. A USB drive stuck into the side of the monitor. No one noticed me. But then the screen blinked on, by itself. A video file opened that IT showed me, 2 nights before I died. Arguing with someone in a dark suit. The audio was distorted, but I could make out one sentence: if this gets out, you're dead. And just like that, the screen went black again. That I had no memory of that meeting. None. But I knew that alley. The one behind the publishing house where all the shady meetings happened. And I knew who worked in that building. Jeremy. That I returned to him next. My best friend. My brother in everything but blood. He was home, pacing. Eyes sunken. Unshaven. On the table sat a folder labeled EM, article notes. He muttered to himself. Why did you go alone, man? Why didn't you tell me? I listened as he picked up a flash drive, stared at it for a long time, then slammed it into his laptop. The screen lit up with more video files. Hidden camera stuff. Surveillance. Government officials. A senator shaking hands with someone in a warehouse. A money exchange. Boxes marked hazardous. It clicked that my last story, the one I'd obsessed over for months, was about toxic waste being dumped illegally in small towns. Someone big was behind it. Very big. I had proof. I must have found it, and gotten too close. That night, Jeremy met someone at the diner near 6th and Dalton. A woman in a red coat. Blonde. Sharp eyes. She slid him an envelope. He looked inside, shook his head, then handed it back. This isn't what he'd want, he said. He died for the truth. She leaned in. He died because he didn't know when to stop. Jeremy stood. I know enough now. And I'm not afraid. I was proud. But I also knew what that meant, that I had to warn him that I tried. I followed him everywhere. Tried to knock over a coffee mug. Flicker lights. Slam doors. Classic ghost stuff. Nothing worked, until I screamed. Not with my voice, but my mind. It cracked the air. His TV exploded. He stared at it, frozen. Then whispered, Elliot. It wasn't much, but it was something. From that night on, things changed. He started chasing leads I never told him about. Interviewing people I never met. It was like I could guide him, push him gently toward the truth, but someone was watching that I saw them. A black car parked across his building. A man in a gray suit. Always on the phone. I recognized him. From the alley. From the video. He followed Jeremy to the old printing plant on the edge of town. I followed too. Inside, Jeremy found a hidden room. Old filing cabinets. Labeled with code names. Photos. Receipts. Dossiers. My name was in one. So was a note, leak confirmed. Neutralized. That was it. My death, planned. Approved. Executed. Jeremy turned to leave, but he wasn't alone. The man from the car was there. Gun in hand. Calm voice. You should have taken the money. Jeremy raised his hands. He was my friend. He was a problem, the man said. And you're about to be another one. Time froze. Everything in me exploded into one final scream. The lights shattered. Metal screeched. The man staggered. Jeremy lunged. A scuffle. A single gunshot. The man fell. Jeremy survived. That he called the police. Gave them the files. The footage. Everything. The story made national headlines. Senators were arrested. A corporation collapsed. People marched in the streets. Truth mattered again. At my grave, weeks later, Jeremy stood alone. You saved me, Elliot. Even after you were gone. I stood beside him. Not touching. Not speaking. Just being. And for the first time since I died, I felt peace. The wind blew. The leaves rustled. A crow flew past the sun, and I disappeared into the light, but something pulled me back, just as the light wrapped around me, as warmth and stillness promised an end. A sharp tug yanked my soul downward. Like gravity but meaner. I gasped, yes, gasped, like I had lungs again, and slammed into reality. Not the world I left behind, not entirely, but a middle ground. Like purgatory wearing a trench coat. It looked like my apartment, but wrong. The angles bent a little too much. The walls pulsed like they breathed. And standing at the far end was someone with my face, but not me. He smiled. You almost got away. I backed up. Or tried to. I couldn't feel my feet. My doppelganger stepped closer. You think you solved your murder? That it ends with one dead hitman and a headline? He reached up and pulled something from his neck, a thin black thread, glimmering with red, like it was soaked in blood and secrets. It floated midair. Buzzed. This isn't about you, Elliot. It never was. You were just one piece. Who are you? I finally managed to say, though I don't know how that. He grinned. I'm the version of you that said yes. Yes to what? Then the room twisted. We were standing in a boardroom now, a long black table between us. Around it sat faces I vaguely recognized from memories that didn't belong to me. Men and women in suits with smiles like razors. The same people from those surveillance files. But younger. Powerful. Alive. You were offered a choice, the other me said. Dig deeper, expose everything, and die, or join us. My breath caught. I remembered now. I'd been offered a bribe. Not once, twice. First, early on, when I stumbled across the evidence. Then again, when I tried to go public. Only the second time, I wasn't alone in that alley. I had been with him. The other me that he said yes that I had said no, and so they killed me. They didn't expect your spirit to stay, he said, tapping the table. But you were stubborn. You haunted the truth into daylight. You bent the rules. That makes you dangerous. I stepped forward. And you're just, what? A ghost of who I could have been. No, he leaned in, eyes like oil slicks. I'm the version they kept. The boardroom disappeared again. Now we were in a dark server room. Screens blinked. Code scrolled. Lives reduced to metadata. Every death gets uploaded, he said. Every choice logged. You made waves, Elliot. You rattled the archive. What archive? This one. A screen turned. On it, I saw every decision I'd made since childhood. Accepting a dare. Stealing a candy bar. Writing my first article. Kissing Lucy Parker in the 9th grade. Saying no to corruption. Choosing to die instead of comply. You're rare, he said. Most break before the truth. You didn't. I turned to him. What happens now? You can't go back, he said. But you don't have to vanish. He opened his hand. Inside it glowed a strange shard of light, like a digitized soul. You can help others. The ones they're targeting. The ones still alive. From here. I stared at the shard. What's the catch? He smiled. There's always a catch. I hesitated. Then took the shard, and everything changed again. That I woke in a motel room in Nebraska. Inhabiting the body of a journalist named Talia. She was chasing a similar story. One with dead ends, silence, and threats. I looked in the mirror, and saw her face, but behind her eyes. I was there. That I knew then, this was my new life. A shadow in the system. A ghost in the data. A soul passed from one seeker of truth to the next, helping them pull back the veil. That I wasn't Elliot Marsh anymore. That I was everyone trying to bring the truth into the light, and this time, no one would silence me. The first thing I felt was hunger. Real, growling hunger. The kind that twists your stomach and makes your hands shake. The mirror on the motel wall showed a stranger, a woman in her late 20s, hair tied back in a messy bun, dark circles under sharp eyes. Talia Quinn. A local journalist. Smart. Obsessed. Alone. I was in her body, or maybe her soul. Not possessing her, more like, echoing her. A passenger, she didn't know I was there, not yet. She sat at a desk cluttered with folders, newspaper clippings, a crumpled energy drink can, and a photo. A little girl. Missing. Name, Casey Martin. Age 9, disappeared 2 months ago from a tiny town called Darrington Hollow. Her file was thin. Too thin. No suspects. No witnesses. But one sentence stood out, circled in red ink, last seen near Blackroot facility gates. I knew that name. Blackroot Industries. They were one of the companies connected to the waste dumping case that got me killed. The conspiracy wasn't over. It had roots. Talia was on to something. I could feel it pulsing in her nerves. She didn't trust the sheriff. She didn't trust the official story. And she sure as hell didn't trust the man in the dark SUV who kept following her around Darrington Hollow. That night, she broke into the archives of the town's abandoned newspaper office. Dust coated the floor. Cabinets locked. But she found what she needed wedged between 2 yellowed file folders. A photo from 1993. A group of men in suits shaking hands in front of the Blackroot gates. One of them was Senator Raymond Keller, the same man from the footage Jeremy found before I died. The others? Local law enforcement. And one woman. Her name tag read, Dr. Ellen Gray. The same woman now running the youth rehabilitation clinic, just outside of town. Talia didn't sleep. She drove there the next morning, heart pounding. I could feel it too. Like her pulse and mine were tangled. When she arrived, a steel gate blocked the way, buzzing slightly with hidden electricity. She showed her press credentials. The guard glanced once, then buzzed her through. Inside was clean. Too clean. Smelled like antiseptic and control. The receptionist smiled, but not with her eyes. "We're a recovery center for troubled children," she said. "We help them find discipline." Talia nodded. "Can I speak to Dr. Gray?" "She's unavailable today." But as Talia turned to leave, the elevator opened. Dr. Ellen Gray stepped out. Silver hair. Impeccable suit. Eyes like scalpels. "Ms. Quinn," she said without introduction. "I was wondering when you'd come." The air in the room changed. Talia blinked. "You know me?" "You're persistent," Gray said. Like he was. I felt a chill in my borrowed bones. "She means me," I whispered inside her thoughts. Talia froze. Gray noticed. Smiled. "Tell your passenger he's meddling again." Talia ran. Didn't look back. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she sped away in her rusted car. She didn't know how she knew to run, only that something deep and old had just stared through her. That night, she didn't write. She shook. She paced. She tried to drink the fear away. That's when I reached her. She sat on the bathroom floor, head against the cold tile. "I'm losing it," she whispered. "I can hear voices." "Not voices," I said. "Just me." I didn't tell her who I was. Not yet. I just told her where to go. What to look up. What files to dig through. I was subtle. Soft. I nudged her when she needed courage. I pushed when she hesitated. She listened. And slowly, she began to trust the voice in her head. She found the burial site 2 weeks later, unmarked graves, covered by rusted construction equipment behind the Blackroot compound. 7 bodies. Children. Including Casey Martin. The police tried to bury the story. But Talia had already backed it all up. Sent it to 5 independent networks. One brave reporter ran it live on air. Outrage. Protests. Fire. Blackroot collapsed. Dr. Gray vanished. The senator resigned. But none of it felt like a victory. Not yet. Talia sat in her car, staring at the sunset. "Who are you?" she asked aloud. "I know you're real." What are you?" I wanted to tell her. I tried. But something stronger stopped me. A tether, yanking me forward again. Another life needed me. I disappeared from Talia, and woke up inside a prison cell. A man this time. Muscle-bound. Tattoos. A face that looked like it had been broken more than once. His name was Alex Rourke. Former Marine. Serving life for a murder he didn't commit. I saw it all flash before me. His trial. The twisted evidence. The lies. The planted weapon. The real killer had a badge. Alex didn't believe in ghosts, but he believed in instincts that he started following dreams. Subtle feelings. He asked to reopen his case. Denied. Then again. Denied. Then he smuggled a letter out to a woman named Talia Quinn. My heart leapt. She read it. Recognized the tone. The way the words landed. She knew I was in there. We were building something now. A network. A resistance not of flesh and blood, but of spirit and truth. I guided Alex to the warden's office. Showed him the right drawer. The hidden folder. Inside, a memo dated weeks before the murder, ordering surveillance on the victim, and implicating the arresting officer in a bribery ring. It was enough. Alex walked free 8 months later. But he didn't disappear. He joined Talia. They began investigating together. Quietly. One case at a time. Corrupt judges. Dirty cops. Disappearances no one ever noticed. And I was with them through it all. Whispering. Guiding. Fighting the dark with every borrowed breath, but the darkness grew aware. One night, in a motel in Kansas, Alex woke with a scream. His chest burned. Carved into his skin, 3 letters. EMF, Elliot Marsh Foundation. They had turned me into a threat with a name. Now they were hunting the people I protected. Talia disappeared 2 days later. Alex got a call. A voice like static. Give us the files. Or we bury her like we buried him. I flared inside him. The lights burst. His phone melted in his hand. No, I said. We end this. Now. Alex followed my voice to a building beneath the city. It wasn't on any map. But it was where all the stolen stories lived. Servers. Cameras. Data. The foundation wasn't just a shell, it was a surveillance machine. Tracking truth. Killing it. We burned it down. Alex lit the match. I held the flame. Talia was saved. The foundation fell, and my voice, my presence, spread. Now, I'm more than Elliot Marsh. I'm in every rebel who dares to seek truth, every whistleblower who risks everything, every journalist on the edge of silence. I solved my own murder, and now, I'm solving theirs, one soul at a time.